It's difficult to say with certainty how any individual, including former President Donald Trump, would approach the Taiwan-China conflict, as the geopolitical situation is highly complex and dynamic. However, we can consider some of the factors that might influence his approach based on his past actions and statements. Trump's approach to China and Taiwan. During his presidency, 2017 to 2021, Donald Trump took a confrontational approach toward China, particularly in trade, technology, and military matters. His administration imposed tariffs on Chinese goods and challenged Beijing's aggressive stance in the South China Sea and Taiwan Strait. Trump also approved arms sales to Taiwan, which increased tensions with China. While he did not formally recognize Taiwan as an independent state, his administration's support for Taiwan was clear, especially through military cooperation and rhetoric. Trump's policies were often driven by a mix of strategic competition with China, economic considerations, and a desire to assert American interests globally. He was also critical of the One China policy, which had been the basis of U.S.-China relations since the 1970s. This created some ambiguity about how he would have handled a crisis over Taiwan, though he repeatedly signaled that any Chinese move on Taiwan would not be tolerated. Would Trump solve the Taiwan-China conflict? The Taiwan-China issue is one of the most sensitive and volatile geopolitical situations in the world. Any potential solution would likely require a combination of diplomatic, economic, and military considerations, none of which are easily resolved. Diplomatic engagement. It's unlikely that Trump would have pursued a diplomatic solution that could be seen as weakening U.S. support for Taiwan or appeasing China, given his America First approach and strong stance against what he perceived as unfair international deals. However, he might have tried to leverage economic incentives or concessions in other areas, like trade or technology, to reduce tensions. Military posture. Trump's administration did increase U.S. military presence in the Indo-Pacific region, sending a message of deterrence to China. However, whether he would have taken a more active military role in the event of a Chinese military move against Taiwan is speculative. Trump often spoke about reducing U.S. military entanglements overseas, but also emphasized a strong military posture. Economic leverage. Trump's trade war with China, which focused on tariffs and supply chain issues, would likely have continued to be a tool in any broader strategy. However, economic pressures alone are unlikely to resolve the core issue of Taiwan's sovereignty and China's desire for reunification. Public rhetoric. Trump's rhetoric often focused on confrontation and unpredictability, which could either act as a deterrent to China or escalate tensions. His unpredictability was both an asset and a liability in foreign policy, as it made it harder for adversaries to predict his actions. Conclusion. While Trump's past policies were aimed at countering China's rise and strengthening ties with Taiwan, it's unlikely that any single leader, including Trump, could solve the Taiwan-China conflict on their own. It's a deeply entrenched issue involving national pride, security concerns, and the balance of power in the Asia-Pacific region. The future of Taiwan's relationship with China will depend on a range of factors, including U.S. policy, China's internal priorities, and the actions of other international actors. If Trump were to return to office, his approach would likely involve a continuation of his assertive policies toward China, but it's hard to say whether he would be able to prevent or defuse a potential conflict over Taiwan.